Hi, Christy here. I've got my Akashic Records open, and today I'm starting the exploration with beginnings and endings, which is something I have a little bit of a fascination with, if you know me at all. Like, when was the last time I played with my Barbie dolls? No idea, but there was a time, and that was the end. Or anything, really, that can have some sort of slow ending that you don't really notice. It's not really, marked with a particular milestone or something. So there's a way in which we don't know where we're going. In a way, we're sort of lost. The reason this is on my mind, I watched a podcast this morning with two women that I watch their podcast occasionally. And they've been broadcasting for 4 or 5 years, I think. And they're talking about ending the podcast, like they've done what they need to do. And they feel finished, which is fascinating on the one hand, and yet it's an ending, of course. And there were some tears and so on. And those are the definitive endings, when you say, we're just done here and this is over and we're moving on to other things. But there's sort of a suspended, like a pregnant pause, if you will, of like, there's a possibility of something new happening, of something new coming, but it's not yet presented itself and it's not entirely clear what's going to happen, but you kind of leap into that space of not knowing, but feeling the promise of something, like something's pulling you forward, something's drawing you toward whatever is next, even as you're not completely 100% done with the other thing. You know that there's something that's, kind of pulling you in, hand over hand. Come here, there's this thing. I want you to come here and explore and expand and see what's here for you. And we all, I shouldn't say we all, shouldn't make some, generalizations, but most of us have some attachment to what's working, what feels good, some level of certainty. I think we like suspense better in movies and TV shows than we do in our own lives. Like, what could happen or what could not happen? I mean, that's always a big one too. Like, if you have this idea, I'm going to build this new idea, I'm going to follow this and I'm going to really go after it. What happens if it doesn't materialize? From a soul's perspective, it's like, oh yay, we still get to learn. We're growing and evolving through those failures, through those mistakes, but we're disappointed in a way that we had some expectations and we had something we hoped would happen and it didn't exactly pan out like we thought it would. I mean, we love the element of surprise when, that was even better than expected, but not the, kind of felt a little flat. Wasn't exactly what I wanted. I've been doing a 5-day gratitude tapping thing with Brad Yates. It's still going on, by the way, if you're interested. Google Brad Yates, Yates. And one of the things that's in there are people saying, how can I be grateful if I'm not successful yet? And it's interesting how we decide how to limit ourselves. Like these big ideas, maybe we don't pursue them because we're afraid that they might disappoint us. Maybe we do pursue them and are underwhelmed. But maybe we pursue them and they exceed our expectations. There goes the garbage truck. Sorry for the background noise. And so if we can just stay with being open to what's possible and following the thread, like I love to follow intuition, inspiration, to see, what may come next and what may move us to a new place. And in that also, to me, it's interesting when we might cycle back to be like, I used to do this thing and now I'm inspired to do it again. Oh, right, I'm inspired to do this again. I was talking to a client recently and it came up in the records to ask whether she had heard of The Artist's Way, which is a book by Julia Cameron. I've worked through it in its entirety multiple times. And each time I did, I revisited it and it was new in a way. Some of it was old and familiar, some of it was brand new. And as it turned out, she had already done a lot of morning pages, which was one of the tasks in The Artist's Way. So she knew about it, even though this is a pretty old book and a pretty old process, if you will. She knew about it and she'd been doing some of the work. And it's interesting how these things can come back and sort of perk us up and go, oh, right, that thing. I used to like that thing. Let me go check it out. So I'm just checking. I wrote down a few notes. One of the questions I pose, it'd be interesting to see here in the records, how do we know whether we're having a beginning or an ending or we're in the middle? And when I look here in the records, it's kind of funny. The records, to me, my records at least, have a sense of humor, and they're kind of like, what does it matter? Which is true. And they're not mocking me, to be clear. They're more like, I think, trying to spur me on to look deeper into this question of when we commemorate or when we notice or when we expand into, ooh, this is the beginning, ooh, look, or ooh, this is an ending, this is an opportunity to celebrate, perhaps, to mourn, perhaps, to acknowledge, certainly, that we are not where we used to be, and we are not how we used to be, and we are evolving. We're just evolving and evolving and evolving so that the beginnings and endings are continuous. This is how they're presenting it to me. Of course, like the old, inhale and exhale, and between them is a pause. This is sort of the way of life and the way of every experience. Whew, that feels good to me. I like it. We're in the flow. In and out. More and more. Bigger and better. Expanded and aware. This feels really lovely. All right, I'd love to hear in the comments below, how about some celebration of an ending? Is there an ending you'd like to celebrate? I'd love to hear that in the comments below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. And in the meantime, please go be brilliant.